Lead with a Stoic iron mind. Dominate the professional battlefield. What if your professional life is not exhausting because the world is unfair, but because your mind is untrained for power? What if the office, the meetings, the pressure, the competition are not the problem, but the way you enter the battlefield every day without armor? The professional world is not a place of comfort. It is a battlefield disguised as routine. Titles, deadlines, egos, politics, expectations. Every environment where power circulates becomes a test of character, and most people fail silently, not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack inner command. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while surrounded by betrayal, war, and decay. He did not survive by reacting. He survived by governing himself first. The Stoic understood something modern professionals forget. Leadership is not authority over others. It is sovereignty over your emotions, your impulses, your need for approval. Without that, every promotion becomes a trap. Every challenge becomes personal. Every setback becomes humiliation. Psychology confirms what Stoicism warned centuries ago. Stress is not caused by workload alone. It is caused by lack of internal structure. When your mind has no hierarchy, every email feels like a threat. Every criticism feels like an attack. Every delay feels like disrespect. Jung called this unconscious possession. Nietzsche called it weakness, disguised as sensitivity. Epictetus called it slavery. The professional battlefield does not reward the loudest or the most aggressive. It rewards those who remain clear under pressure, disciplined under chaos, and unmoved by emotional noise. The Stoic iron mind does not seek dominance through force. It dominates through composure, through strategic silence, through decisions made without resentment or fear. Most professionals sabotage themselves daily. They speak too fast, react too much, take everything personally. They confuse urgency with importance and motion with progress. Seneca warned that being busy without control is a form of madness. Frankl proved that meaning collapses when responsibility is avoided. In the workplace, this collapse looks like burnout, cynicism, and quiet despair. Stoic leadership is not softness. It is controlled intensity. It is knowing when to push and when to wait, when to speak and when to observe, when to advance and when to let others expose themselves through excess. Musonius Rufus taught that discipline is visible in action, not in words. Montaigne reminded us that character reveals itself under contradiction, not comfort. To lead with a Stoic iron mind is to walk into the professional arena without emotional debt. No need to impress, no need to defend ego, no need to chase validation. Your value is internal, your focus is precise, your behavior is intentional. This is not corporate motivation. This is psychological warfare against weakness in environments that reward only those who can command themselves. If you want to dominate the professional battlefield, you must stop seeking safety and start building inner authority. Because the moment pressure arrives, your title will not save you. Your skills will not protect you. Only your mind will. And the question is no longer abstract. When power tests you, will your mind collapse or command? The greatest threat in your professional life is not competition. It is not lack of opportunity. It is not even failure. The real enemy is emotional reactivity disguised as professionalism. The moment you react instead of choosing, you lose command. And once command is lost, respect follows shortly after. The modern workplace rewards emotional obedience while pretending to value rational leadership. You are encouraged to feel everything, express everything, defend everything. This is not strength, it is exposure. Schopenhauer warned that the undisciplined mind becomes a battlefield where impulses fight for control. In professional environments, those impulses are triggered deliberately. Deadlines, silence, pressure, hierarchy, ambiguity, all of it exists to test who governs themselves and who collapses under internal noise. Epictetus was clear. If something outside of you controls your you are already defeated. In offices and corporations, this defeat looks subtle, over-explaining, justifying, seeking reassurance, needing to be seen as competent instead of acting competently. Jung described this as ego inflation, compensating for inner insecurity. The more someone needs validation, the less authority they project. Stoic leadership begins where emotional dependence ends. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you must expect friction, incompetence, resistance, and ego from others. Not to resent it, but to prepare for it. The professional who expects fairness becomes bitter. The Stoic who expects reality remains composed. This composure is misinterpreted as confidence. In truth, it is discipline. Most people believe success comes from effort alone. Effort matters, but without emotional control, it becomes reckless energy. Nietzsche warned that uncontrolled will destroys itself. In the workplace, this destruction appears as burnout, resentment, political mistakes, and impulsive decisions that close doors permanently. You do not need more intensity, you need direction. Fromm explained that maturity is the ability to act without compulsive approval seeking. In professional life, this means speaking with purpose, not anxiety. Choosing silence when emotion wants reaction. Delaying response when ego demands immediacy. These micro-decisions accumulate into presence. Presence is power. Power is influence without force. The professional battlefield is psychological before it is strategic. Every interaction tests whether you are internally governed or externally driven. The Stoic IronMind understands this and prepares accordingly. You do not sharpen your mind when pressure arrives. You sharpen it long before. You train your reactions the same way soldiers train movements: repetition, awareness, discipline. If you cannot control irritation, you cannot control negotiation. If you cannot control anxiety, you cannot control leadership. If you cannot control your need to be liked, you cannot control outcomes. This is not cruelty, it is clarity. Kierkegaard wrote that despair is not knowing who commands your life. In professional terms, despair is realizing too late that emotions have been leading your decisions. The Stoic does not suppress emotion, he assigns it a position. Emotion informs, reason decides, action follows. That hierarchy is what separates professionals who rise from those who stagnate while working harder than everyone else. In the next chapter, we will dissect the illusion of authority and reveal why most leaders fail the moment pressure intensifies, and how Stoic discipline rebuilds leadership from the inside out. Most people believe leadership is revealed in moments of success. That belief is false. Leadership is exposed under pressure, contradiction, and uncertainty. The professional battlefield does not destroy weak leaders. It simply reveals what was already fragile. When pressure intensifies, character surfaces, and most characters are untrained. Marcus Aurelius warned that power does not corrupt, it unmasks. In professional environments, authority amplifies inner disorder. The anxious become controlling, the insecure become aggressive, the undisciplined become erratic. What collapses is not strategy, but inner structure. Without Stoic discipline, leadership becomes emotional improvisation disguised as decisiveness. Modern psychology confirms this collapse pattern. Under stress, the mind reverts to its dominant habits. If your default state is emotional reaction, pressure will magnify it. Jung described this as regression under load. The ego, when threatened, abandons reason and clings to defense mechanisms. In leadership roles, this appears as micromanagement, blame-shifting, silence, or performative confidence. None of these create trust. All of them erode authority. Seneca observed that a mind disturbed by emotion cannot see clearly. In the workplace, lack of clarity is fatal. Decisions become reactive. Communication becomes defensive. Timing collapses. Teams feel instability even when leaders pretend control. People do not follow titles, they follow composure. The Stoic IronMind understands that calm is not passive. It is strategic dominance over inner turbulence. Nietzsche warned that those who seek power without self-mastery become intoxicated by it. They mistake control over others for control over themselves. This intoxication is short-lived. When resistance appears, when results slow, when criticism arrives, the illusion breaks. Leaders without inner discipline collapse inward before they fail outward. Fromm described authority rooted in fear as unstable. True authority emerges from internal alignment. In professional terms, this means acting from principle instead of mood, choosing long-term integrity over short-term approval, accepting tension without rushing to dissolve it emotionally. These choices are invisible, but their consequences are not. Kierkegaard wrote that anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. Leadership multiplies freedom and therefore multiplies anxiety. Without Stoic training, leaders attempt to eliminate anxiety by controlling others. With Stoic discipline, anxiety becomes information. Pressure becomes calibration. Responsibility becomes clarity. The professional battlefield rewards those who can remain internally ordered while environments remain unstable. This order is not personality, it is practiced restraint. Epictetus taught that freedom begins when you stop demanding reality, adapt to your emotions. In leadership, freedom is the ability to act without resentment, fear, or ego defense. Most leaders collapse because they confuse intensity with strength. They react faster, speak louder, assert more. The Stoic IronMind does the opposite. He slows down, he observes, he chooses precisely. This precision creates gravity. Gravity creates influence. If you want to lead under pressure, you must stop chasing control and start cultivating command. Command is internal. It cannot be delegated, it cannot be faked, it is trained. Confidence is one of the most misunderstood currencies in the professional world. Most people chase it, few understand it. Confidence is not volume, posture, or speed of speech. Those are compensations. True confidence is presence, and presence is built through inner order, not performance. The modern workplace rewards visible confidence, not real stability. People learn to speak decisively even when they are uncertain. They learn to posture certainty to avoid appearing weak. Nietzsche warned that this is how decadence spreads. When appearance replaces substance, systems rot from the inside. In leadership, this rot shows up as hollow authority and fragile influence. Stoic philosophy dismantles this illusion. Marcus Aurelius never asked how to appear confident. He asked how to remain aligned with reason under pressure. The Stoic IronMind understands that presence is the byproduct of discipline. When your emotions are governed, your words slow down. When your thoughts are ordered, your actions become economical. This economy creates gravity. People feel it before they understand it. Psychology confirms this effect. Humans unconsciously read emotional regulation as safety. A leader who remains composed under stress signals reliability. Jung explained that the psyche seeks structure in chaos. In professional environments, the person who embodies structure becomes the reference point. This is why presence outperforms charisma. Charisma fades when pressure rises. Presence intensifies. Most professionals mistake confidence for certainty, but certainty collapses the moment reality contradicts expectations. Presence does not depend on being right, it depends on being grounded. Seneca taught that the wise person remains steady, not because outcomes are predictable, but because reactions are disciplined. This steadiness allows adaptation without panic. The Stoic IronMind does not rush to fill silence. Silence is not weakness, it is leverage. In meetings, negotiations, conflicts, silence forces others to reveal themselves. Pascal warned that most human problems come from the inability to sit quietly. In professional life, this inability leads to overexposure. The more you speak from anxiety, the more you give away your position. Presence also dissolves the need for approval. Fromm argued that dependence on validation weakens autonomy. In leadership, autonomy is authority. When you no longer need affirmation, you stop negotiating your values. Decisions become cleaner, boundaries become visible, others adjust accordingly. This is why Stoic leadership feels different. It is not reactive, it is not defensive. It does not seek to dominate conversations. It shapes environments through restraint. Kierkegaard described this as inwardness, the depth from which action arises. Without inwardness, leadership is theater. With it, leadership becomes unavoidable. Confidence that must be displayed is already unstable. Presence that is felt needs no display. The Stoic IronMind does not convince, he embodies. That embodiment is built daily through control of impulse, discipline of thought, and refusal to perform strength instead of becoming it. The professional battlefield does not reward perfect information. It rewards judgment under uncertainty. Most people freeze here, not because they lack intelligence, but because they are addicted to certainty. They wait, they hesitate, they ask for more data. In doing so, they surrender initiative, and initiative, once lost, rarely returns. Stoic philosophy was born in uncertainty. Marcus Aurelius ruled without guarantees. Seneca advised emperors who could be killed overnight. Epictetus taught freedom to people who owned nothing but their minds. Their advantage was not prediction, it was internal alignment. When values are clear, decisions become simpler even when outcomes are not. Modern psychology confirms this. Decision paralysis is not caused by complexity alone. It is caused by emotional conflict, fear of being wrong, fear of judgment, fear of loss. Jung described this as the ego protecting its image instead of serving reality. In professional life, this protection looks like endless deliberation, disguised as responsibility. The Stoic IronMind approaches decisions differently. He separates what is controllable from what is not. He commits fully to the former and releases emotional attachment to the latter. This is not indifference, it is clarity. Epictetus taught that peace begins the moment you stop demanding certainty from life. In leadership, peace becomes speed. Nietzsche warned that hesitation is often moral cowardice, wearing the mask of caution. When leaders delay to avoid discomfort, they create more chaos than action ever would. The Stoic understands that mistakes corrected early are less destructive than inaction prolonged by fear. Decision-making is not about being right, it is about being responsible. Schopenhauer observed that suffering multiplies when the mind imagines all possible futures, instead of acting in the present. In professional environments, this imagination fuels anxiety and erodes trust. Teams sense indecision immediately. They do not need perfection, they need direction. Stoic discipline trains judgment through principle. When pressure rises, the Stoic does not ask what feels safe. He asks what aligns with reason, integrity, and long-term consequence. Frankl showed that meaning stabilizes action under extreme uncertainty. When you know why you act, the how becomes manageable. This is why Stoic leaders decide calmly while others panic. Not because they see further, but because they are less emotionally entangled. They accept risk without dramatizing it. They accept responsibility without internal collapse. Their decisions are clean because their minds are not cluttered by self-protection. Fromm described mature action as the ability to act without compulsive reassurance. In the workplace, this maturity is rare. Those who possess it stand out immediately, not through charisma, but through decisiveness without aggression. This decisiveness builds trust faster than any motivational speech. Every decision trains your mind. Each moment you avoid responsibility, you reinforce fear. Each moment you choose action grounded in principle, you reinforce command. Over time, this discipline compounds. Decision-making becomes instinctive, not impulsive, strategic, not emotional. In the next chapter, we will examine power dynamics and reveal how Stoic discipline allows you to navigate hierarchy, conflict, and politics without corruption or submission. Every professional environment creates hierarchy, every hierarchy creates politics, and every political system tests character before competence. Most people lose themselves here. They either submit and grow resentful, or they manipulate and grow hollow. The Stoic Iron Mind chooses a third path: mastery without corruption. Marcus Aurelius warned that proximity to power exposes the soul. Power does not demand that you abandon virtue, it tempts you to. In professional hierarchies, this temptation appears as compromise, disguised as pragmatism. Say what they want to hear. Align with the loudest voice. Avoid conflict at the cost of integrity. These choices feel strategic in the moment. They erode authority over time. Psychology explains this erosion clearly. When behavior contradicts values, the mind fractures. Jung called this loss of inner unity. The professional feels successful externally and empty internally. From this fracture emerges cynicism, anxiety, and quiet self-contempt. The Stoic avoids this by refusing to trade internal order for external advantage. Epictetus taught that no position grants power over your character unless you surrender it. The Stoic Iron Mind navigates hierarchy by understanding one rule. You can respect authority without worshipping it. You can challenge decisions without emotional rebellion. You can comply without submission of identity. This balance confuses those who rely on fear or flattery to maintain control. Politics thrives on reaction, offense, rumor, emotional leakage. The Stoic starves this system. He does not gossip because gossip reveals insecurity. He does not rush to defend himself because self-command speaks louder than explanation. Seneca warned that the man who spends his energy on image loses his capacity for action. In corporate life, image obsession is weakness marketed as professionalism. Nietzsche saw resentment as the currency of weak power. Those who feel powerless attempt to influence indirectly through sabotage and moral posturing. The Stoic refuses this game. He acts directly, cleanly, and with restraint. This does not make him passive. It makes him unpredictable. And unpredictability rooted in principle is dangerous to corrupt systems. Power respects clarity. When your boundaries are visible, manipulation becomes difficult. Fromm described this as mature authority, authority that does not threaten but cannot be ignored. In meetings, this appears as calm disagreement without hostility. In conflict, it appears as firmness without escalation. In hierarchy, it appears as loyalty without submission. The Stoic Iron Mind understands that not every battle is worth fighting publicly. Some are won through patience, others through silence, others through consistent excellence that renders politics irrelevant. Musonius Rufus taught that character outlasts circumstance. In professional life, this means reputations built on reliability survive long after political games collapse. Hierarchy will always exist. Politics will always surface. The question is whether you allow them to reshape your mind. The Stoic walks through power structures unchanged. He adapts behavior without surrendering values. He understands systems without becoming one. In the next chapter, we will confront ambition itself and expose the difference between disciplined drive and the hunger that eventually consumes those who mistake success for meaning. Ambition is a double-edged sword. It pushes you forward. It promises greatness. It promises everything, but ambition unchecked is a destroyer. It turns people into tools. It turns victories into illusions. When ambition is misdirected, it pulls you into a battle you never wanted to fight. A battle for external validation that strips you of internal peace. Most professionals are driven by the promise of success. A bigger title, more money, more power, more recognition. But when does the drive for more end? And when does it become a trap that holds you in a cycle of endless chasing? Ambition starts with clarity. It begins with an understanding of why you desire. But in the modern world, it becomes distorted. The world tells you to want more without ever asking what you already have. It tells you to compare yourself to others, but never to question the price of that comparison. Nietzsche warned that ambition unchecked leads to resentment, a resentment of others for having what you believe you deserve. Ambition in the corporate world is rarely a pure pursuit of excellence. It is often a competitive game fueled by envy, insecurity, and fear. The Stoic IronMind does not compete in this game. He does not chase titles or validation. He chases growth. The true cost of ambition is not material, it is emotional. Every sacrifice made in the name of success builds resentment in the soul. This resentment may be hidden at first, disguised as enthusiasm, as the pursuit of excellence, but eventually it shows itself as anxiety, as bitterness, as the hollow feeling that comes from winning but never feeling fulfilled. This is what Fromm described as having without being. Ambition also distorts time. The Stoic understands that each moment is a choice. Every action leads somewhere. Ambition clouds this reality by pushing you toward an idealized future that may never materialize. It makes you forget that the only real power you possess is how you show up today. You do not control the future. You control how you act in the present. Seneca warned that we do not suffer from failure, but from the tension between expectation and reality. Modern professionals are taught to expect everything, but are rarely prepared to live with what they have. Ambition amplifies this tension, leading to dissatisfaction. The Stoic IronMind understands this tension and uses it as a tool. It becomes fuel for action, not despair. It becomes a reminder that striving is valuable only when aligned with purpose, not an arbitrary definition of success. The Stoic does not ask for more. He asks if what he has aligns with who he wants to become. He is not afraid of success, but of the false kind that feeds the ego without nourishing the soul. Most people in the corporate world spend their lives running after success without ever understanding it. The Stoic understands that true success is internal. It is growth in the face of adversity. It is the pursuit of excellence for its own sake, not for the applause of others. Ambition, when mastered, becomes a tool. When left unchecked, it becomes a monster. The Stoic IronMind is not afraid to build. He is not afraid to grow, but he does so with the awareness that the price of success is never worth the cost of self-betrayal. He knows that success achieved through ego-driven ambition will always feel empty, no matter how high you climb. In the next chapter, we will explore the nature of true power and expose the difference between strength based on control and strength based on awareness, showing how Stoic discipline allows you to conquer life without becoming a prisoner to it. True dominance is misunderstood because it does not announce itself. It does not demand attention. It does not seek permission. It operates quietly, internally, consistently. The professional world confuses domination with control over others. The Stoic IronMind knows better. Control over others is unstable. Control over oneself is absolute. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the best revenge is not to become like those who harm you. In professional terms, the highest form of victory is not climbing faster than others, but remaining intact while doing so. Most people rise by compromising themselves. They trade calm for speed, integrity for advantage, awareness for approval. They gain status and lose sovereignty. The Stoic refuses this exchange. Psychology confirms that lasting power is internal. Those who rely on external authority live in constant fear of losing it. Jung warned that a mind split between who it is and who it pretends to be cannot sustain pressure indefinitely. Eventually, exhaustion sets in. Anxiety replaces confidence. Success feels fragile. The Stoic IronMind avoids this fracture by aligning action with principle. His strength does not depend on outcomes, it depends on coherence. Frankl taught that meaning stabilizes the soul under any condition. In the professional battlefield, meaning becomes your anchor. When you know why you act, competition loses its poison. Failure loses its sting. Success loses its arrogance. You stop oscillating emotionally with every result. This emotional stability is not passive, it is strategic. It allows you to see longer, think clearer, and act cleaner than those trapped in constant reaction. True dominance is the ability to remain calm while others rush, to remain ethical while others justify, to remain focused while others scatter. Schopenhauer observed that most suffering comes from wanting life to be different than it is. The Stoic IronMind accepts reality without resignation and shapes it without illusion. This balance is rare. It is also unstoppable. The professional battlefield never becomes fair. Pressure never disappears. Conflict never ends. What changes is you. You stop entering the arena as a reactive participant and start moving through it as a disciplined force. You do not dominate by crushing others. You dominate by outlasting chaos, by refusing to be dragged into emotional games, by acting from awareness instead of impulse. Kierkegaard warned that despair is losing oneself. The Stoic IronMind understands that domination without self-mastery is just another form of loss. True victory is coherence, the alignment of mind, action, and meaning. When that alignment is present, no environment can destabilize you. You adapt without breaking. You advance without corruption. You lead without needing to be seen leading. This is the endgame of Stoic leadership. Not power over others, but power within. Not success at any cost, but success without self-betrayal. Not domination through force, but domination through clarity. When your mind is ordered, the battlefield loses its grip. The world may test you, but it no longer owns you. This is what it means to lead with a Stoic IronMind, to walk into pressure with structure, to face ambition with awareness, to move through power without losing yourself. Because in the end, the greatest professional victory is not the position you reach. It is the mind you refuse to surrender along the way.